I wrote this book, and it was about these two kids that around the same time I was getting a Rhodes Scholarship. That the Baltimore Sun, which is a hometown paper, was also writing a whole series of articles about four guys who robbed a jewelry store and in the process ended up murdering an off-duty police officer. And when that murder happened, that tragic murder happened, I found out that one of the people that the police were looking for, that was eventually captured and tried and convicted and sentenced, was a guy whose name was also Wes Moore. And the more I learned about him, the more I learned how much more we had in common than just our names, that we are, living in the same city. And, we both grew up in single parent households. We both had academic and disciplinary troubles. And, I just kind of realized more and more that what we had here were two young men with similar circumstances who were both battling and existing in a hostile world. And that what were those things that really helped to cause this split amongst them? And you just said a really important word. And it was something that I didn't think about until I really asked Wes about it, where, Wes is now in year 20 of his life sentence. And I remember, I think it was in year 3 when I went to go see him, or year 4 when I went to go see him. And I asked him, I said, so do you think that we're products of our environments? Because we're talking about Baltimore and just the environments we came up in, and I told him I'd heard that so many times over and over when I was growing up that I never questioned it. People are products of their environments. And he took a pause and he looked at me and he said, actually, I think we're products of our expectations. And as soon as he said that, I thought to myself, he's absolutely right. We're not products of our environments. We're products of our expectations. And someone once said to me, it's a real shame that you lived up to your expectations and Wes didn't. And I said, actually, the real shame is we both did. We both ended up exactly where we thought we would at some point. And it's important to remember with all of that the expectations that people have for themselves, they don't come from nowhere, right? The expectations that people have from themselves come from the expectations that other people have of them. And they just internalize them and they make them their own. And so whether we're talking about the expectations that we have for that school student that you pointed out, who's in class and hoping that class and that teacher and that institution is going to be as invested in their future as they should be invested in their own, whether it's the expectations that we have for that mom who is working multiple jobs and just trying to get back home in time, that maybe she can cook something up for the family. Maybe she can have another opportunity, that maybe next year that job will get a little bit easier, or give hours that she can be a little bit more forgiving. Expectations for that person who's being recently released from prison and can't seem to find a place that's willing to give them a shot. Expectations for the person who has an idea and a thought and something that they think could be an interesting business that could employ people, but they're just having difficulty finding the capital to do it. How do we alter the expectations that we have for our society to actually build up mechanisms where our society has a chance to build and grow and succeed? Because in many ways, our nation becomes this nation of self-fulfilling prophecies. We just have to think really hard about what kind of expectations do we have for ourselves and what kind of expectations do we have for others.
That's such a powerful insight, Wes. In 1956, Earl Nightingale, who was one of the first founding fathers of positive thinking, did a radio talk show. And in that, he said, I'm going to tell you the strangest secret in the world. And in that broadcast, he said, the strangest secret in the world is we become what we think about. That broadcast has reverberated around the world for decades. We become what we think about. That's exactly what you just described. And we do think about ourselves relative to the environment we're in. It creates our expectations. And you're right. How do we change those expectations? How do we change the way we think? How could we have gotten the other Wes Moore to think the way you think? That's a challenge for all of us as we go forward. But I think a lot of it is policy. and a lot of it is getting back to the fundamental vision and the purpose of this country. But ultimately, we have to change the way people think, don't you think?
I couldn't agree more. And it's changing the way that we think about other people as well, right? It's changing what is it that we hope for? What is it that we see? That when we're looking at a community, when we're looking at a school, when we're looking at our kids, what is it that we see? Because I think that if we looked at that group of students and we saw that one of them is going to be a Nobel Peace Prize winner, if we saw that young person over there, that's going to be the person that's actually going to end cancer. If we looked at that person over there and we said that person is going to build a business that is going to employ thousands of people, and if we looked at that person over there and we said, that person, that young person over there, you know, she is going to be the president of the United States. If we looked at all those people and we thought that, we would act and respond differently as a large society about how I would address that group, how I would think about that group, about the resources I would want to surround around that group. And so part of it is for all of us, we have to ask ourselves that question, is that when we look at our communities and we look at our families and we look at our children, what is it that we see? Because if we see high expectations for them, it'll change our language, it'll change our behavior, and it will change our investment in what we're actually hoping to get out of it.